Hey guys, this is Cody Jones with Jangus Genetics LLC, and continuing on with our book series here. One of the books that had a big impact on my life, I actually went to a conference in college. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad towards the end of my junior year, beginning of my senior year, somewhere in there of college, and I got really interested in real estate, which actually turns out is really cool because running the numbers on houses and running the numbers on cows, there's a lot of similarities. Turns out farming is a business, and so the more I learned about real estate, the more I learned about farming at the same time, even though I really didn't know it yet. But whether you're renting houses or running cows, there are a lot of similarities. And so I went to I was interested in rental properties, and I was always interested in money and investing, in being an entrepreneur of some sort. So I went to a 2-day or 3-day real estate conference. It was pretty cheap. They advertised it on campus, and I showed up, and of course they were, I think it was like, I don't know, $150 or something, 3 days. And then, if you lasted the 3 days, they had a $30,000 cookie cutter investment, teaching you how to invest deal that you could invest with. And it was 30,000 or 50,000 or something, And so I really probably wasn't their target market. But one of the things that I learned at this conference and the speaker was good. I mean, I learned a lot, but the main thing I got was he taught off of this book. The speaker taught off of this book, and I went and bought the book, and the book is absolutely incredible for anybody involved in business. And again, one of the things that I want to do with this channel is I think there's a big gap in scalability. So going from a homestead or a small farm and scaling up to something that's a full-time, I don't want to say job because I'm getting ready to talk about this book, but a full-time position, and then, hopefully a self-sustaining business there's just a gap in the kind of education that we got to get there. And my grammar. Anyway, it's early. I haven't had my second cup of coffee yet. But this book is written by Michael E. Gerber, and his personal life, like a lot of these really good writers, is a little weird. But the information in this book is absolutely incredible. And I don't really necessarily want to talk about, this isn't a book review of going into detail about what this book's going to tell you. I'm going to tell you how it applies to my life and what I used from it, and recommend that you go out, you figure out how it applies to your life, because I get something different every time I read these really good books. But the book's name is The E-Myth Revisited. Get the Revisited one. And I don't care whether you get the hard copy or the Audible version. I've read and listened to both, and I believe that you probably learn more if you read something. They say that hearing something is better than reading it. I care more when I actually sit down and read a book. So if you have the time, sit down and read it. But if not, listen to it. And you can listen to a book 3 times in the amount of time it takes me to read one. I'm a slow reader. But why most small businesses don't work and what to do about it. And he's gone on. He owns a company. I haven't researched that too much about his programming and his classes and stuff. But he's written several different books. He hasn't written one for farmers yet. So maybe if we all get together, we can encourage him to do that. Maybe he'll write one specifically for us. But get the original, the revisited version. It's good. And so what it really emphasized in me is creating systems, and don't just be a technician. And Ranching for Profit, I'm sure they got it from this book. One of the things that they talk about specifically is not just working in the business, but taking the time to work on the business. And that's what the main portion of I got out of this book. And I hadn't heard it as simple as that, not working in the business, but on the business. But that's what this book's all about. So he talks about the three different types of labor, or types of processes that an entrepreneur goes through. So I see this in every business. Anytime I hear a young man say, I'm going to quit working for the company, I'm going to start my own business, I'm like, this one, read this one. This one is the best thing you could possibly ever do for yourself. Because if you're not going to follow the process, you're better off working for somebody else, I promise you. And that goes with a lot of these books. If you don't have the grit to withstand it, read these books before you quit your job. And if you don't have the ability to read these books, you don't have the ability to quit your job, because it's just that business is hard, and it's fun, and it's exciting, and it's incredible, and then it turns into work, and it gets boring and monotonous, and difficult and challenging, and you just have to have a lot of grit to stay in business. And so reading these books will help you understand that and understand the process before you even get into it. So when a young guy comes in, he uses a sandwich shop. It doesn't matter to me what you use. Let's say I'm working for somebody else, and I decide that, hey, I could do it better. I can do it faster. I can make more money at this. Why am I working for somebody else? I quit my job. I then become a technician because I've been working in the business all the time. I've never seen anything above that level. I know that I can do it better. I'm a technician. And so what that means is I'm really good at doing my job. And most of my day-to-day stuff on the farm is being a technician. I'm coming out here, I'm moving the cows, I'm looking at the grass, I'm making sure that they're not sick. And a lot of the things that I shoot for this YouTube video are going to be about the technician side. It's fun, it's exciting. Everybody likes to see cows. Everybody likes to talk about cows. Everybody wants to talk about the technician side of farming. And that's great. I do too. I enjoy it. I love cows. But then there's the next step. And if you never go past the technician side, life is going to be hard. No matter what business you're in. If you never advance past the technician side in a small business, life is hard. So it takes a different skill set. And this is the next skill set that I'm building and need to work on. And you have to scale your farm to a certain point too. And that's something that I'm really working on, is to be able to be big enough to hire somebody else to replace me as the technician. Somebody that can come out here, not that I'll stop enjoying cows and doing a lot of these things, but I'm consciously going to make that decision that, hey, I just want to spend some time with cows today. There's more important jobs. There's jobs that are going to pay me more, and those moving up into the management. So I need to replace myself, and creating business systems is the biggest thing that you can do. That's why McDonald's is so successful. That's why all your franchises are so successful, and those guys are making so much money, at least the franchisors. Is they built the systems for the franchisee to purchase and to create and to use. And that's really what I need to do. Creating an operating process, operating procedure, super important, standard operating procedure. And it's something that's, I'm guilty of this. Everybody wants to think that farming is different, and it's crap. Farming is the same as any other business, and we have to figure out how to make it work. Because if we don't, we'll never scale, and we'll always be technicians, and we'll have hard lives. So we'll never build that wealth that we want to create. So I'm just as guilty as everybody else. I like to say, these cows are special. These cows are different. These cows are registered cows, or this ground is totally different than every other piece of ground in the world. And it's unique, but every business has unique things about it. The location, the food needs, whatever it is. So we just have to create systems here that I can hand this to somebody who's 12 years old, or 14, or I bought a book the other day called Ranching Like a 12-Year-Old. The idea is that if a 12-year-old can't do it, you shouldn't be doing it, because McDonald's makes their millions by working 14, 15, 16, whatever's legal age kids, right? And they're very successful at that. And so we have to be able to hand our operating book over to somebody, anybody, and say, this is what needs to get done. This is our training process. Now you go do it. And we create a new technician, because the technician's the easiest thing to do, and it's the cheapest thing to replace. If you don't have to hire a specialist and pay a bunch of money, then you're going to be a lot more successful. For me, I always want to be hiring somebody for the next position. And so, there's going to be people that never want to be more than a technician. That's fine. But, I want to be able to hire young people to come in, train them the way I want, and then I want to take it to the next step. So I'm not just thinking about my next step, but I'm thinking about the next step of my employees. I guess I probably shouldn't call them employees, but you know what I mean. Our team members. Isn't that the new cool thing? Team members. And so I want to be able to create a system where our team members can step up too. And so these are all things that I'm thinking of, and I may be 10, 15, 20 years down the line before I get all this in place. But I'm thinking about it, and I'm working on it now. And so once you get your technician replaced, once you replace yourself, and as somebody could do it 80% as good as you better move on, because that's good enough. then you become a manager. Okay, so you're showing people where to go, what to do. You're basically, managing the day to day. And I tell you, this is the worst part for me. I am a horrible manager. Some people are great at it. My wife is a great manager, and I will hire somebody if not her, somebody just like her to go out and manage and tell everybody where to be and be real organized and all the other things that a great manager has to do that I am not. So I would like to skip that process as fast as possible, or get through it as fast as possible. And then once you get your management SOPs done, your standard operating procedures, you get your next manager replaced, trained, and you replace yourself there. Then you move up into the entrepreneur stage. And this is the stage that I am excited about. I love, everybody is. And that is the forward thinking, the YouTube creation, the maybe not necessarily the sales, but the marketing side of things, the oversight, the generating new customers, the generating new ideas, the meeting and greeting people. Those are all the things that I really enjoy. After being a technician, I like the cows and I like working with people. Don't get me wrong. I won't hate the management side. I'm just not as organized as I would like to be. And then, going into that entrepreneurship side of things, that's where you can go off and start a new business, or go off and start a new enterprise, or whatever you need to do. And again, farming's not different than anything else. I may never decide to fully leave the farm, but I want to have that ability. For me, it's important because what I'm creating is a true business, and a business that if I died or took a 2-year vacation or something, I want to come back and I want to know that this business is still going on without me. That's kind of the test of a true business. And so this book talks about all these things. It talks about how to get you there. It talks about, I don't know if they're real life examples. It's been a while since I've read it, listened to it, but this book just does an incredible job of talking about the systems and why they're important, and talking about the different phases of that entrepreneur that they go through. And now that I've read the book, as soon as I meet people at church all the time, like, I just want to quit my job. I just hate my boss. Everything stinks. And I'm just sitting there with my mouth closed. And every once in a while, I can't hold it in. I'm like, okay, here, read this book. They're like, I don't read. Why would I want to read that book? I don't got time to do anything. I'm too busy going on dates, or, building my truck, or going out on the weekends. And I'm like, yep. You're going to have a lot of time to do that when you move into the next technician phase, let me tell you. And then every once in a while, I get into trouble because somebody reads one of the books I recommend, and all of a sudden their life is totally changed, and they've gone all in, and they're like, man, this little portion of my life, I'm going to have to work my tail off. And because I've read those books, I understand where I'm going. And that is the coolest thing in the world for me, is to recommend something that somebody uses and makes them very successful. And sometimes their wives get a little mad at me, but it's not my fault. I didn't write the book, at least not yet. But that's why I'm recommending these books. This book really is a life changer. It's shown me where I'm starting at. It helped me to understand where I'm at and where I need to go and where I want to go. And I just highly recommend it. It is a good, easy read. It's kind of technical in the ways that it needs to be. So if you can get a hands on a paper copy, one of the best things that I've ever heard on retaining information from a book is following along while someone else reads it. So buy the hard copy, buy the Kindle copy. Kindle now and Audible have a cross-reference. And so I don't know exactly how it works, but I've done it a few times with some of the books I'm leading at church, where you can go to your Kindle, open up the book, and then it'll play Audible audio while you're reading. And that to me it really does help my retention. It helps my concentration. I'm not getting distracted by other things like I do when I'm just listening to it. And I'm not losing my mind concentration like I do when I'm just reading the book, and I have to go back and read the same page 5 times sometimes. And so that is a good way to do it too. But most of the time when I'm just reading a book, I will just listen to it. But reading is so important. So anyway, I hope you guys get this book. I hope you love it. I hope you use everything in it. it's right up there with Rich Dad Poor Dad for me. Just great, incredible business people wrote those books and shared a lot of knowledge that you can't get anywhere else. And just really enjoy that, and I appreciate you guys, and I want to share that with you because I'm so passionate about it. And we need more people coming out here building regenerative farms and ranches and making a livelihood out here. And it just builds that sense of community. I think we miss that a lot, and I look forward to seeing you guys and hearing from you guys, and I appreciate you. So if you enjoy this, also like, subscribe. We really appreciate having you around. Thanks, guys.